Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tech Summit Podcast, episode 16. I'm Chris.
I am Francisco.
Welcome, everyone, to the New Year's special for the Tech Summit Podcast. If you guys are following us here on YouTube, social media will be at the bottom of the video description here.
And of course, for other platforms, we also have links to Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the like.
Of course, we are here to celebrate just a little bit, have a little bit more of a casual thing. We have ourselves here St. Elder Blood Orange Liqueur, which is very nice. Very nice. Already making me feel pretty warm, personally.
Yeah, on the inside at least. It makes your chest feel warm. That's for
Yes.
sure.
Now, we are going to reflect, of course, on 2020. We are going to look forward to 2021 and what the both of us are hopefully going to do as well. But,
yeah.
of course, like I said, we're going to start off with 2020. And at least for Tech Summit Podcast, if there's one thing that we need to constantly come back to when it comes to 2020, the thing that we kept coming back to, it is, of course, our old buddies at NVIDIA. So, Francisco,
That's the green button.
you have some news for us, right?
Yes. So, I actually have an article here pulled up because of this time we will be able to cite our sources.
Aha!
For once.
Is it video cards?
It does have to do with graphics cards.
No, but the website video cards is with a Z.
Oh, no. It's coming from Tom's Hardware, and the writer, I'm going to try to pronounce his name just for the sake of giving him credit. Zeyi Liu. I definitely screwed that one up. I'm sorry. Zeyi Liu? Liu?
We are so sorry.
Yeah, so sorry. Definitely not on purpose. But what is worth mentioning is that THESIS actually, on their website, it has been leaked that they are working on ROG Strix models for the RTX 3080 Ti. Two of them, actually. One of them is the OC edition. The other one is just like the regular edition. And the same goes for the 3060. My thoughts here are most likely that the 3060 is going to cost around $300, and the 3080 Ti probably going to cost around $1,000. Though some people are speculating that it might cost more because supposedly some of the more current graphics cards have actually been discontinued.
Really?
Yes.
Tell me more.
Well, I actually found this out and didn't look too deep into it.
Oh.
But it seems like the 3080, for instance, has been discontinued because they want to release more powerful versions of those.
Wait, so like Founders Edition 3080 is already gone?
Yes.
Wow.
I do not believe that those are going to be coming back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it is genuinely sad. But here, honestly, like the most frustrating part is that the RTX 3060 is going to come out with allegedly 12 gigs of VRAM. More than
I'm
the 3070.
sorry?
Yeah, you heard that correctly. The 3080 Ti is going to come with 20 gigs of VRAM, which does make more sense, a lot more sense. But I don't understand how the 3060 is going to have more VRAM than both the 3060 Ti and the 3070. That's so interesting.
Please.
Now, that doesn't mean that this is that the 3060 is going to be more powerful than the 3070 by any means. There are a lot more factors that go into that.
Which, of course, if people are curious about seeing, how the 3070 does perform, you just uploaded your video a couple of days ago of the new build that we made.
Exactly.
Correct?
So I'm going to be making sure to leave a link to that in the description, whether you're listening to the podcast or watching on YouTube, so that you are still able to keep up with that.
Yeah, we got a beautiful build of the 3070, I almost said Ti, 3070 Founders Edition
Yes.
FE.
And there will be ETI eventually, though.
But yeah,
I'm sure of it.
3070 with the 3950X Ryzen 9.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful machine. I actually had a friend of mine who doesn't know anything about computers. I said up front, it was a sexy computer.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah,
we
it
won
is.
that one out.
It is. I definitely agree. Not only because I built it, but also because I do think that
Well,
it
I
does
picked the
look really
parts.
nice. Yeah, you did.
I picked the parts.
So ultimately,
And
the
of
aesthetics
course-
do fall on you.
And of course, a friend of mine helped me recommended me the parts as well.
Yeah.
Like I sort of just been like, oh, can I get some colors in there? And then and then my friend would find a case and it's like, okay, this is the case. It's probably gonna work for you.
And did he go, okay, how's brown and vanilla? for
We
the CPU
we actually
cooling.
did speak about that a little bit, but he did say in fact that the performance and quietness of the
Hmm.
cooler was just the best way to go. There was
Yeah,
another one we were looking at a while back, but then we found out after a while they wouldn't have been compatible, so we ended up falling back towards that one. I
I
mean,
see.
it is extremely quiet. It is fantastic, a
Yeah,
fantastic piece of hardware.
yeah,
It's
yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. And what matters ultimately is just how well it performs. So if it performs well and quietly, then it really doesn't matter how it looks. But if you could have that trifecta, that would be nice.
I agree.
Yeah. However, I would say that you've definitely got a very solid build. I mean, so far you have a more powerful build than I do right now, since all I have is really
For
a
all but 2
2080.
months.
Hey now, maybe sooner. Though we are going to have the same CPU because I didn't want to wait for stock to normalize because we don't know when that's going to happen. We have a good idea as to maybe when the graphics cards are going to start normalizing, but not so much for the Ryzen
Right.
5000 CPUs.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I don't want to end up buying from a scalper.
Right.
So yeah,
I understand. Yeah.
and only for like a 13% improvement. Maybe it might not even be worth the wait.
No, not really. I mean,
Yeah.
okay. Worth the wait. It depends. Like, how time sensitive do you need this thing? Like, of course, do you need it for your work, or do you want it so that way you can have like the better performance overall for things like games and stuff like that? That's the thing that people have to weigh when they're deciding if they want to like go right now with a 39 or a third
Mm.
gen Ryzen or a fourth gen.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a hard thing to tell.
No, yeah. I mean, completely because the 5000 series of Ryzen CPUs is considered Zen 3, you know?
Yeah.
So like it is very confusing. Even I thought like when I first heard about Zen 3, I thought that they were talking about just like the 3000 series. It's like, wait, how come a review of this came out just a day ago? I don't get it. Like, are they just touching on it? And I'm like, oh wait, that's the latest architecture for the 5000 series.
It's a really weird naming convention,
Hmm.
second only to Microsoft when it comes to naming conventions.
Yeah, regarding the Xbox. Yeah.
So what exactly, like, okay, so we have these leaks for these Asus cards. Do we have like a rough idea as to when they're going to be releasing?
So it appears that the 3060 might be coming out sometime in January, and the 3080 Ti is expected to come out sometime probably around middle to end of February.
Right.
Yeah, but it seems like the 3060 might be more so like mid January or so. I mean, Nvidia has been. I don't want to say that they've been on a roll releasing these graphics cards because not really. But there are still a lot more graphics cards to be coming from them. Like I'm sure we're gonna get a 3070 Ti also at some point.
Mhm.
Maybe even a 3090 Ti. Who knows? Who knows?
Right, right.
Yeah, but again, that remains to be seen. And also, I actually did see rumors about a Titan at some point. I don't
That's
have the
okay.
reference for
So
that though.
that's what I'm trying to figure out because you're saying 3090 Ti, and I'm feeling like you wouldn't really have that whether you would just wait until like a 3090 Super happens. But what's this about a new Titan? Wasn't the 3090 supposed to replace the Titan?
It was. It was. Um, it even surprised me as well. But it appears that people that have been digging into this more have found more information on the Titan, and it appears that it's going to be roughly around like a $3,000 graphics card.
Hmm.
Or maybe not, maybe more so like 2,500 actually. But
Right.
it is going to have 30 gigs of VRAM, so it is going to have more than 3090, obviously. But Titans have never really truly been like specifically gaming cards, or at the very least not like a great value for gaming.
Uh-huh.
But they're great for like doing work and stuff like that. But even then, like that's probably for like ultra enthusiasts. So I'm going to leave that purchase to you guys. I'm sure you guys will love it whenever that comes out.
Uh,
Which I suspect is probably going to be like a June, July kind of thing.
Titan was in that sort of weird place. And Titan is very enthusiast, yeah? You would say
Yes,
so?
yes, absolutely.
Very, very enthusiast.
I mean, consumer is like on the lower end. Like 1,500 for a 3090 is pushing that threshold. But since it was supposed to be like that Titan replacement, it really felt like they were trying to bring Titan to like the more consumer market.
It's very weird, though. Titan is in a really odd spot, honestly, when you think about it, because
Yeah.
Titan is way too expensive to be a consumer product.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's also not marketed towards, workstations like a Quadro is, for example.
Right, yeah. It is kind of in marketing limbo from what I have seen.
It's very
Like,
much as an enthusiast thing. You buy it so you can say you have a Titan.
yeah,
That's why it's named a Titan specifically, as opposed to everything else. You have Quadros and then numbers. You have GTX or RTX plus numbers, and then you just
yeah,
have Titan. That's it.
yeah, yeah. The Titan is supposed to be like on a whole league of its own. But I mean, would we all expected the 3090 to be that replacement? And again, like that Titan, that supposed new Titan, is really just a rumor so far. It hasn't been confirmed. Like it's not like Asus added a Titan of their own
Mm,
in their lineup. But from my experience, I think the Titans have remained exclusively NVIDIA Founders Edition
right.
style. Uh, so yeah, but what we can say is that there is most certainly going to be 3080 Ti and there's most certainly going to be 3060. However, that VRAM counts is very confusing to me. Very much so, because it doesn't make any sense that this would have 12 gigs and that the 3070 would only have 8.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out a lot. Really, it's like, is that just a lot of? It's just is that just extra breathing room for the 3060 Ti, or like what is it? Because surely it can't be that much more stronger than a 3070.
No, 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 no. It can't be. I mean, like VRAM alone does not determine like overall raw performance. VRAM just means like how much more video memory it has to work with.
Right.
So it's more like wiggle room or like headroom for you to have. Uh, but like in terms of raw performance, I'm sure that the 3070 and that the 3060 Ti are still going to be more powerful than this 3060,
Right.
especially if it's going to be the cheaper model.
Uh huh.
Uh, but it still doesn't make any sense that the cheaper model would have more VRAM than the 3070 or the 3060 Ti, you know?
Right.
Yeah. So that's just definitely worth questioning. The 3080 makes sense here, though there are rumors that this might actually be like a $1,300 graphics card, the 3080 Ti, which is, I think, a bit much for sure. I mean, that's almost double of what the regular 3080 is. Either that or they're going to come out with higher VRAM versions of the 3080 specifically,
Right.
probably like a 3080 Super, and then like replace their entire old lineup with that. Like there's a lot going on in in the whole rumors department here. But at the very least, considering that Asus did add the 3080 Ti and then the 3060 to their store, those are at the very least pretty much confirmed.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so you see them coming around, like you said, February or so,
Yeah.
like the rumored release date for the 3080 Ti
Right. Yeah.
after its delay.
Yeah. The 3080 Ti would be a February release, most likely late February, mid to late. 3060 appears to be more of like a January release.
Now I'm sure you know where I'm going with this, though, right?
No, actually, tell me.
Now I have a riddle for you.
Okay.
Does a graphics card really ever release if the consumer never sees it?
That put chills into my spine.
These things are going to get scalped.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Which means that, guys, line up at a micro center. It is your best chance of
That
getting a
is
graphics
going to
card.
be it. Just line up at a micro center.
Yeah.
I got that. I got my card with that way. A friend of mine got a card that way.
Mhm.
Another friend of mine is probably going to get a card that way, and this man is surely going to get a card that way as well. If you
Mhm.
have a micro center near you, line up. If
Yes.
you don't have a micro center near you, drive to one.
Yes.
If you can't drive to one, I'm really sorry. You're gonna be waiting for a super.
Ride your bike there. How about that? Take the train, take a
Walk.
bus, Amtrak. Do whatever you can.
And I would walk 500 miles
Oh Jesus.
just to use a cart.
Oh man, is this video going to get claimed already?
No. Oh, you're right. Oh no.
Yeah.
Proclaimers, please do not proclaim this video.
There was actually this thing that did pass along the current stimulus package that does have to do with how people are allowed to use music online, especially streamers.
One moment.
Yeah.
We here at Tech Summit Podcast do not express political affiliations in either direction.
Yeah, we're not a political channel.
We are a very apolitical channel.
Exactly.
This relates to tech, however, and content ID and other copyright things.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes, which is why we are bringing this up.
Proceed.
Essentially, it has the potential to become a felony if you use copyrighted music and get struck by it.
So the thing that I remember reading is that streaming copyrighted material could be punishable by up to 10 years in prison.
Mm-hmm.
However, the provision was specifically towards commercial use, as
Mhm.
in streaming a movie without permission to make money off it.
I see.
So, say for example, if random Joe Schmo is using a song in their YouTube video, they're not going to get in trouble. If random Joe Schmo is doing certain illicit activities that we are not condoning here on this podcast, you know, downloading certain things, they are not going to be punishable by 10 years in prison. If you're making money off it, though, you're going to be a much higher target.
Yes, and I think that that's what most people are actually concerned about because
How loose the definition could be.
yes, like it is still pretty vague, like so much so that you could very well fall under that camp and not even know it, or maybe you might fall more so in that gray area, but they can still prosecute you because you still fall under that gray area.
Right.
So that is going to suck a lot. Guys, use copyright music or your own music if you can. Like by all means.
You said use copyright, but you mean use
Uh,
public domain music?
Copyright, yeah, like
Copyright
public
free.
domain. Yeah, copyright free music.
I know
sorry.
I know Twitch recently introduced Twitch Soundtrack for people who want to stream with royalty-free music.
Yeah, there's that.
I haven't used it myself yet. I don't know if it's going to be any good. Of course, there is, of course, the problem that everybody's going to be using it. So you're really
Mhm.
that original and stuff like that, you know. But
Yeah. However, there are still options actually. So shout out to Harris Heller, who actually put together an entire playlist of different genres specifically for people to use, like without any worry of copyright or anything like that. And like he said it himself, it's for you to use. I've been using it on my live streams for the past couple of months. It's been a godsend. A lot of pretty fantastic tracks over there. And he says that you can use them for YouTube videos, your Twitch streams, everything along the lines, and that you shouldn't have any copyright issues.
that is very nice.
It's incredibly nice of him.
That's very nice. Thank you. I personally haven't used it. I imagine you have so far.
A lot, yeah.
You've used it a lot.
Mhm.
I haven't used it yet myself because my content hasn't really existed yet. But
It's called Stream Beats for future reference.
oh, Stream Beats.
Yeah,
Very nice.
yeah.
Shout out to Stream Beats.
Shout out to Stream Beats and Harris Heller.
Now-
This podcast is not sponsored by Harris Heller, FYI.
Although I wish we were. With that said, of course. So of course NVIDIA is coming out with their stuff. And, you know, NVIDIA was in fact one of the dominating tech stories throughout 2020, or at least the latter half of it.
Yes.
And on that note, I kind of want to reflect a little bit on 2020. I am going to drag you into the personal light just a tiny little bit.
Ah,
We're not doxing you here, but I do want people to have at least some sort of perspective on Francisco from Tech Summit, the man behind everything that is done on this channel. So I kind of wanted to reflect a little bit on the 2020 that both of us have, because for a lot of people it was a very rough year, but of course, you know,
sure.
everyone was different. So in this New Year's special, how was your 2020 overall? What are your thoughts?
I'll start from the very beginning,
Okay,
from the genesis of 2020.
go ahead. Do you need a little top up before you start?
Actually, yeah, I'm all out,
You're
so
all
go for
out.
it. Yeah, allow me to
Okay.
pour out some tears.
No
along the way.
problem. Tell me when.
I would say.
Please now. No?
Now.
Okay, that's quite a bit, but all right.
Is it? Oh yeah, it is
It
actually.
is quite a bit.
Okay.
I'm gonna top up a little bit, much more, a little lighter there. Yeah.
Yeah. You know
Go
what you
ahead.
want.
2020.
Okay.
This godforsaken year. 20. Oh man, we're already about less than halfway through. All right.
Oh my goodness, we.
2020.
Over here at Tech Summit, we do not advocate towards emptying an entire bottle in one podcast.
We are, of course, also not advocating for underage drinking, because I
Yes.
imagine some of your audience is, in fact, under the age of 21.
Yes, for sure.
You
Definitely,
are 20,
3.
24.
Yes, we're definitely old enough. So
Winners don't
worry.
use drugs, remember that.
No, yeah. So that you're never old enough to use that. Oh gosh, I sound
So,
like an infomercial.
2020. To use a very cliched joke, hindsight on 2020. Go.
You know, a friend of ours actually made a joke about that last
That
night.
was a joke that was being made long before 2020 even started. But go ahead.
Sure thing. So 2020 started off pretty sad, mostly because like last semester was so rough, and I'm talking about like winter 2019, so rough. And then like we go into break, and so far like the atmosphere is just very bleak. It's very gray outside, which I generally do like. Uh, not many complaints there, but even like when we went back to school, it didn't really feel like all that satisfying. I don't know because not only was it our last semester, but like we just knew that as soon as we came in, we had to go back into crunching for animation.
For the people who stopped crunching, sure. I never stopped.
I did.
A lot of people in our class stopped crunching. I never did. I was crunching even throughout the winter.
And that's good. That's good.
Is
That's
it?
very good.
Is
Yeah.
it though? That's not really a good work-life balance at all.
Well, no, but you were still getting work done,
Eh.
and that's important. Like, sure, work balance is very important, but also there are times where you just have to get work done.
Right.
So I do very much admire that. I mean, the only way that I can have a proper vacation is by leaving the country, because if I stay here, then I'm going to be in work mode almost
Right.
no matter what. But
When I get into my part, I'll mention the one time I was able to get a vacation. But
yeah, sure thing.
go ahead.
Sure thing. So essentially, like we went back and we were just like crunching for animation. So he and I are both animation majors.
Yep.
We went to the same school.
Yep.
And I was doing a 3D animation. He was working in 3D to.
You were using 2D. You meant. You said 3D.
Oh, I was pretty sure that I said 2D. My
Yeah,
bad.
you said
Yes.
3D. Yeah.
Okay, I meant to say 2D.
Francisco from Tech Summit is a 2D animator, and I am a 3D animator.
Yes.
Different mediums.
To clarify, yes. They work very differently, but they can both still be very challenging in their own ways. So, I want to say that 2D animation, like drawing every single frame, at the very least, I can say that I was happy being in the groove, but I hated it every time that I got interrupted
Right.
by something like, oh, hey, you have like a language course now to take. You
Yeah.
can't keep working on your thesis. Or,
Uh-huh.
oh, you have this other group project that you have to work on, so you can't continue to work on your thesis.
Right.
Well, make sure that you finish your thesis. It better be good. While some professors were also saying, oh, you know, your thesis isn't really all that important. So like I wouldn't worry too much about it. And some like our thesis professor was more like, no, this is very important. Okay. And I was more so on that camp. I did agree that it was very important, which is why I put my all into it. And then, while the uploads weren't necessarily all that scheduled throughout because of that mostly, we eventually got into lockdown, and that's when I was able to really kick it into high gear when it came to work because I mean, this time around meetings with professors and stuff were way shorter, and also I was saving on the 2 hour travel time basically that I could have used to work on stuff. So I felt like I was more productive, but I also felt so like such a bum just being home all day.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. It did not do me well. I gotta say, but after school finally ended in May, and our professor said, "Hey, we should have one last call, one last Zoom call." I was like, "Oh, fine, I'll go." And then after that, I was just like, "All right, I can't wait until my diploma gets here." And then that's when I really started going harder with YouTube and stuff. And when I started developing a stronger schedule for it, like at around that time, at around June and July, I was reviewing a lot of headphones. Then I was reviewing a lot of microphones and things like that. And while at first I wasn't getting a lot of traction for those reviews, eventually I did. And actually, some people might even know me as that guy that reviews microphones
Yep.
because I've reviewed quite a few. And it is pretty cool because I do think that reviewing microphones is like the best thing in my opinion out of anything, any piece of tech that I could be reviewing. I just find microphones to be so interesting in their own way. Uh, and they also just operate differently from every other type of review. So like it just feels like a change of pace every time.
So far, you're saying that 2020 was a little bit of a not necessarily a struggle, but like not ideal for you.
It wasn't ideal, but there's still a lot of good that came from it.
I was going to
And
mention the first thing that
yes,
people have to think about that we obviously reflect on just happened a couple weeks ago. 10,000 subscribers.
yes, 10,000 subscribers. I went from having, I think, around like 3,600 to 10,000 by the end of the year. And I know that there are channels that earn way more, obviously.
But 10,000 is still a big deal.
Yes. And in fact, as of the recording of this podcast episode, I had just hit 11K.
11,000.
Yes. And that hasn't even been an entire full week,
So like
full 2 weeks
the
since.
thing you have to, because for a lot of people, 10,000 or 11,000 rather, doesn't seem like a big deal.
Mhm.
But you also have to think about it. 11,000 subscribers, that means that there are 11,000 people watching your content.
Yeah. I mean, imagine.
11,000. That's the size of many smaller towns.
Yeah. I mean, imagine like if you were a musician or something, and like you just showed up to your venue and 11,000 people are there to listen to
That's
you.
a lot of people.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
Or 11,000 can also be seen as like about a quarter, 25% of like a sports stadium. Or depending on the sports team, like a baseball stadium, for example, a lot of baseball stadiums are around 42, 45,000 people. 11,000, that's a quarter of that. A quarter full stadium just watching your content, one single person's content. So for a lot of people, 11,000, they think, oh, that's not a whole lot, whatever. We have this person who has like 2 million subscribers. But 11,000 is still really big when you really think about it in terms of actual people and not just a number.
Yes. And it definitely still does come with influence in some aspects. Like you do start to draw the attention of more brands. More brands start to take you more seriously as a result. And also, you have more negotiating power whenever you're like speaking to any of these brands that want to work with you.
Mm-hmm.
So like a lot did come with that, and also I was able to make YouTube my full-time job as a result. Now, not just from ad revenue, but I've also been editing videos for another company, and they post those videos on their YouTube channel. So like doing both of those at the same time. I'm basically a full-time YouTuber with my current subscriber count, which is, I don't want to say that it's unheard of because I'm pretty sure that there are others that have also been able to do so, but I do want to say that it's not very common.
No, it's
At
not.
least. Yeah. So with that said, I feel like I've accomplished a lot this year, in spite of any setbacks or anything like that. I'm very grateful for what I was able to achieve.
Right. Yeah, no, I feel like with that, things like that, that's been a very good year for you on that front, even despite the challenge that happened. Of course, we also have to acknowledge you finished your thesis.
I did.
You actually finished it. It's not like, oh, it's a work in progress. From beginning to end, it is finished.
Yeah, I was not going to hand it in unless it was finished, even if it meant pulling all-nighters whenever. But I was gonna give it a finished product.
And of course, that's something to be commended no matter what.
Oh well, thank you.
That's something that absolutely needs to be commended, especially because you're doing it, again, frame by frame. That is a very impressive piece to do.
Well, thank you.
If anyone here is listening to the podcast and somehow has not seen his thesis film, please go check it out. We're going to link it in the description below. Please go look at it.
I would very much appreciate that.
He absolutely deserves it.
Oh, the flattery. Thank you. But what about you? I want to know how your 2020 was.
Better than my 2019.
Hey.
I will say that much. It is better than my 2019, but at the same time, 2019 was a very, very bad year. Or not mega bad, but like top 3, top 5 worst in my life. 2019 was not great. 2020, therefore, could only really have gone up unless something really bad happened, which, of course, on a global scale, something really bad happened, which we will not name because everyone knows what it is.
Yeah.
So my 2020 began, of course, again, with work. I had a winter course. I did not take a break like everyone else did in our class.
Right.
I continued with the winter course, which I was able to complete most of it within a week so that I could continue working on the thesis film. A lot of my time during that break actually was spent learning ZBrush, so that I could craft my character and do better stuff with my 3D thesis. The one time this year that I was able to definitively really take a break full stop was a single week at the end of January, just before we got back to school, where I was actually able to go to Disney World.
Whoa.
I was able to go to Disney World because a coworker of mine, or a former coworker, she doesn't work there anymore, but we're still good friends. She's a huge Disney fan.
Mhm.
Goes to Disney World like 2, 3, 4 times a year. Obviously not this year, but
Yeah.
but she goes there.
It's just that one exception.
It is a second home for her.
Aw.
And so she was talking multiple times when I was at my job about, going there someday. And I thought, all right, we'll do it at some point. And then it turns out that time was January, the week of Martin Luther King Day. I went there from, I think, Tuesday to Friday. And it was just, I know it seems cliche to say that Disney World is a magical experience.
But it was.
It really was like unlike anything I've personally experienced myself. As someone who doesn't get to go on vacation at all, really, like that trip to Disney World was the first time I traveled beyond the tri-state area.
Got
Like
it.
the farthest I had traveled beforehand was Philly, and that was it.
Yeah, that's a little too close to the tri-state area.
I traveled to Philly, and I traveled to like a suburb right on the border of Canada. Those are the farthest points I traveled. All of a sudden,
What,
I
in
find-
Buffalo?
Exactly. Yeah, right past Buffalo. Yes, you drive. I landed. I was 5 years old, and I landed the plane in Buffalo, and then drove across the border, and I was in the suburb, and that's where my family was.
Aw, okay, yeah, I got it.
So to find myself all of a sudden in Orlando, it is January, and it is still cold because it turns out that we showed up during the time of a very cold front. People who live in Florida who are listening to this podcast might be familiar with it in January, where you had that one viral clip of an iguana that froze to death on the street.
I saw a picture of it, actually,
Like
recently.
that was the time that I chose to go to Disney World. So like I show up and I'm just like, just like home.
just
like home.
It's like it never left New York, except that the iguanas are frozen.
Of course, by the time I left, though, the very last day before I left, it was 80-something degrees in January. So I'm just like, now that's Florida.
Yep.
This is what I imagine Florida to be.
Yeah, same.
But so yeah, Disney World, and then of course I go back to school, and yeah, like you mentioned, it's just nonstop crunch. Even when uncertain events really took over, and we had to stay at home for those uncertain reasons. Well, no, we know why.
Yeah,
we know why.
Yeah, we know why.
But what's it called?
The certain reasons.
We know why. The demonetizing word.
Mm-hmm.
What's it called? Even despite all that, we were still crunching really hard.
We were.
Now, and of course, that's really difficult. Now, I realize I'm going to sound hypocritical, but of course, I just heap praise unto you for finishing your thesis.
Thank you.
I do not want that praise in return because, as far as I'm personally concerned, I did not finish.
It was more so like a trailer to what you
It
wanted
was
to
the
do.
first 2.5 minutes.
Mm.
It is the first 2.5 minutes of what is supposed to be essentially about 7 minutes of a short film. And it's still in production.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't stop. I did not stop working on that thesis film. I'm still working on. Well, I stopped for the summer, and then I started up again around October. Like I'm still going at it, and I'm still intending to work on it. And that's when we get to the 2021 section of this podcast. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But like in some ways, yeah, there is that sort of accomplishment of like you finished a 2.5 minute short film because it could technically stand as its own film.
Yeah,
it could. You've seen it.
I've seen it.
You've seen it. It probably could stand on its own. But as far as I'm personally concerned, it's only part one of what is essentially 4 different pieces.
I still thought that it was a very impressive piece, though.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and especially like in regards to that robot spinning around, like it just seemed very, very nicely detailed.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Now, unlike Francisco from Tech Summits, unlike Francisco's piece, I do not have this currently publicly available online. I did put it on Vimeo for a period of time so that people could see it and so that it could be linked to.
Mm-hmm.
But I made it private again because I personally do not want it to be seen until it is fully finished.
No problem.
The way that I want it to be.
No problem.
Stay tuned for that, I guess, alongside all the other content I'm supposed to be doing. So I have my social media down in the bottom here.
Right. Or you can just take the George Lucas approach, like just keep it up and just keep
patch
making
notes.
Yep, just keep adding patches onto it.
I'm good. But no, 2020 was not a great year for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was I don't know if I want to say mediocre. I don't know if I want to say mediocre because objectively speaking, I did finish that short film or 2.5 minutes of it. I did graduate. We both graduated.
Yeah, we did.
We both graduated university with a BFA, no less. That's the other thing too. It's not just a bachelor's; it's a BFA.
Yeah,
Is a special type of bachelor's.
right.
Um,
It's a bachelor's in fine arts.
ah, bachelor's in fine arts in animation.
In
That's the thing,
animation.
because a lot of people will hear bachelor's in fine arts and think, "Oh, you got a bachelor's in painting." No, we didn't.
No,
We did
no.
not. But
That was a very small part of our program.
But honestly, a lot of my 2020 has honestly been dominated by one person. And she is probably watching this and she knows who she is. And yeah, so it has been very troubling because there's been a lot of issues going across with that. But I have met one of the most wonderful people I've ever known personally.
Mm-hmm.
She is a fantastic person. And hopefully, because her 2020 has also been pretty bad. Objectively speaking, it's not been a great 2020 for her either. And hopefully 2021 will be a lot better for both me, but especially for her going forward. And it's been a double-edged sword. Sometimes it's been very difficult, but a lot of times it's also been really good. And I'm very glad that I know her and that I was able to really talk to her more. I've spoken to her in the past, 2018 or so.
Mm-hmm.
But like to know her now is like, it's fantastic. So if you are in fact watching this,
shout out to you.
Shout out to Lindsay. Thank you for being around. Thank you, and hopefully you're around for a lot longer.
Continue.
But yeah, so 2020. If I had to give it like a letter grade, or not a letter grade, like if I have to give it like a score from 1 to 10.
Oh my goodness, here we go.
I'd
The
probably-
IGN scoring.
No, it's gonna be less than the IGN scoring. I'm probably gonna give it like a 5.
A 5.
Overall, a 5 or a 6.
I mean, like if I remember correctly, to you it means that it was fine.
A 5 means mediocre, and a 6 means okay.
So fine.
Yes, I know for a lot of people, 5 for people who are used to video game scoring, 5 and 6 means awful, 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 awful.
Yeah.
No, it means it was perfectly mediocre to fine. You had your high points, Disney World, meeting people. You had your low points, not Disney World. Troubles with some of those people.
Yeah.
It happens. But
I guess that if I were to give this like a similar kind of rating, I want to split 2020 into 2 halves. Like the first 2 quarters and the final 2 quarters.
Mhm.
The first 2 quarters, maybe 2.5.
Really?
Yes.
Because of the work, right?
Yeah, because of just like work-life balance. It was not at all a priority that any one of us was afforded at all. It was just working all of the time on top of like the other 7 classes we had to take on top of that. But the other half, I would give it an 8.5.
Really? 8.5?
Yeah. After graduating, life was a lot better.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like at least for me, life didn't get that much better than graduating, because after that, it was like going from one stressful situation right into another one.
I understand that, yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, there isn't that much crunch anymore. Or at least, excuse me, there's no mandatory crunch.
Yeah.
Any crunch that I'm currently going under is completely voluntary, and we are going to fix that in 2021, hopefully. Voluntary crunch.
Yeah.
But that's just the nature of the beast, I guess. We are in an industry that does require a lot of crunch in many cases.
Yeah, we are.
They may not call it crunch. Crunch is very much a video game development term. But,
Nah, I think it could still be used for pretty much anything.
I was about to say, animation is definitely a crunch-heavy industry, I think, at this point.
Absolutely.
Very crunch-heavy.
Even more than video games, I would argue. Even more so.
No.
You don't think so?
I don't think so, because I'm trying to remember correctly, but I think animation is unionized.
Okay,
Whereas video games aren't. And video games are allowed, because video games aren't unionized, they can crunch harder because the idea of, you're working for passion for video games.
Okay.
Whereas with
I can see
animation, that might not fly as much.
I think that's the case here in the West, and I can see that perspective.
Or I guess
for sure.
maybe it's a difference between voluntary crunch versus mandatory crunch.
Yeah. And I know that like places like in the East, for instance, like all those wonderful animated series that people love to watch, including myself. Like a lot of crunch and a lot of studios goes on for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So 2020 for us, I guess, on the whole, though, not as very, very fortunately not as terrible as it could have been given
Yes.
what's been going on.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
We
for
have
sure.
to be thankful for our health and for the people that we care about still being okay. Unfortunately, a lot of other people may not have that luxury.
Yeah.
A lot of people have lost their jobs. Honestly, I more or less lost my job as a result of these uncertain circumstances.
Right.
Like I'm technically on furlough, but I've been on
Mhm.
furlough for 10 months now. I don't see my job coming back.
Got it.
By the time it comes back, it's gonna be too late. I have to move on to something else.
That has been the case for a lot of positions,
You have a lot of
unfortunately.
you have a lot of people who had more permanent jobs who
Mhm.
unfortunately lost it.
Yes.
People
Business
who
owners.
business owners who have had to shut their doors, people who have struggled to make rent, people who have struggled with things like that, and worst of all, people who have lost loved ones due to what has happened.
Yes.
And we here at Tech Summit Podcast wish to express our deepest condolences to anyone who is listening who has unfortunately run into these circumstances. We know that this year has been extremely rough, more so than others. A lot of people have been making memes about 2020 being a bad year.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, that wasn't a meme. That was very much
Yeah.
reality.
I mean, to others, it wasn't even so much of a joke.
It was
it-
not funny.
Yeah. Now, with that said, let's just hope that 2021 is a better year, and I know
Yes.
that both you and I have goals
That
for
is
2021.
right. Yes. Let us look towards 2021. Let us start with you once again. What do you hope to accomplish in this coming year?
I would like to actually work on more animated films. They're likely not going to go up on the Tech Summit channel because it is going to be a variety of films, and they're not all that related to Tech Summit necessarily. I just showed my thesis. But
have you thought about making a second channel like Animation Summit?
I have thought of making
Anime
a second
Summit?
channel.
Anime Summit.
Anime Summit? No.
Nope.
No. I don't want to call it Anime Summit. Like maybe Animation Summit is better, but Anime Summit seems I don't know. I'll be honest. But I have actually considered making a second channel. I just don't know what it would be about because I do have a lot of different passions. Like I think that the highest thing that I have,
Mhm.
well, actually, two competing ones would either be like video essays on like video games or music reviews, but I'm not sure.
The way
where
I
it's
look at it, I feel like if anything, you should have like you have Tech Summit here,
Mhm.
and then you just have another channel that's specifically just creative output, whatever it may be, animation, video essays, whatever, creative stuff, as opposed to reviews.
I just call it like Francisco Ferrera, right?
Ooh, you just talked yourself.
No, everybody knows my name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
Uh-oh. Gotta back out on this one a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
It's like showing the Happy New Year, and we're not ready for that yet.
Not just that, it's not showing Happy New Year's. Worse than that. It said Happy New Year 2018.
Oh no, that's not good. That's like all right. Everybody ignore
I
that.
just
That didn't
realized that.
happen.
Yeah, that and look, going by that thing, that actually has been up there for a little bit now. Everybody, please ignore that.
Yeah, like just pretend that it was 2020. Live in the moment.
I realized that no, it should be Happy New Year 2021. I imagine a lot of people by pointing this out, we're pulling a bit of a Streisand effect. Everyone's gonna notice it now. They're gonna comment on it, being like, "It's not 2018, guys." We wish it was 2018.
Yeah. Do I?
Oh, no,
Maybe.
2018 was not very good for you.
I.
It wasn't great for me either, but
It was a mixed bag. 2019 was awful though.
now 2017, that was my year.
2017, really?
I was really good in 2017.
I want to give 2015 a shout out and 2010 a shout out, but
Oh,
that was
really?
like a long time ago.
2015 was awful for me. It shows the subjectivity for a lot of people. Years are different for people.
No, yeah.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
So, more animated films in 2021.
Yes, I want that. Obviously, a greater output of videos for sure for Tech Summit. More live streams, perhaps, but more so, I would just like to be able to make the channel even better. And who knows, maybe by the end of 2021, we can be at 50,000 subscribers.
I want to be overconfident and say 100,000.
I want to be too.
Exponential growth.
Yeah, you know what? Let's
get you
let's start swaying for that.
Let's get you a silver play button at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's hope for
Let's
that.
get you a silver play button.
Sure thing. I just have to invest more and like review more expensive things that people care about.
I mean, you were close. You were very close with the the AirPod Max, and then of course that happened.
Yeah, they can, like they can do bad stuff to each other.
Very much.
Inappropriate things to each other, for all I care. But
Do you need another top up?
I actually still have in my cup.
Okay.
Yeah. So with that said, what about you? Well, what are your plans? I know you have a list.
I did make a list.
Yes.
I actually, because I love lists and making goals, even if I don't follow through on them, I love making lists. And I have a list of 2021 goals, many of which are unreasonable. If the aforementioned Lindsay is in fact watching this, I'm sure she's going to give me an earful afterwards.
Or in the comments also if you want.
Or maybe even right after we're done recording. Because I'll probably be like,
That too.
Lindsay, guess what happened? here's my list.
Hey, we gave you a shout out on the podcast.
But I have a couple of goals.
Go for it.
So I guess going in descending order. Oh, no. I'm going to go in descending order. Yeah.
Okay.
Number 1, finish 3 animated short films.
I think that's very much doable.
Consider how perfectionist I am, though, and consider how big scale my is.
All right. Definitely a little more editing than expected.
Oh no! Oh no!
Definitely more editing. Continue. you actually stumbled this time. I'm surprised.
Oh no! I've been such a good boy up until that point.
Yeah.
Consider how large scale my projects tend to be.
It's too late. I heard it one way.
Too bad. Consider how large scale my projects tend to be.
It is too bad.
UFO, for example, again, 7 minutes, and I'm trying to make it professional quality. Stop laughing at me.
That's easier said than done.
You sure you don't want some more?
I have enough more in my cup.
I'm emptied up.
If I need more, I swear I will ask for more.
Just a tiny bit.
No problem.
But yes,
that's what we all say.
I want to finish 3 animated projects.
Mm.
The reason why I say 3 is because I'm assuming that UFO, from where I am currently to where it finishes, is going to take another 5 or 6 months to finish.
FYI, UFO is the name of his short film, by the way.
Yes, it is the name of my thesis, UFO. But yeah, the assumption is that I'm going to take another 5 or 6 months to finish it.
Okay.
And then I give myself another 5 or 6 months to do the next thing. Plus, of course, I am collaborating with a mutual friend of ours on a short film as well.
Yes.
Which could hopefully be finished sooner because it's a little more simple.
Yeah.
That one could probably be finished by, we're aiming for February, possibly March, depending on what happens.
Maybe you guys can work on 2 films at a time.
Exactly, that's the thing. I'm going to be working on that plus UFO at the same time. We could possibly collaborate on something else also later on down the road in the same year as well.
Yeah.
The idea is, as long as it's 3 animated films. So yeah, totally doable.
Yep.
Or at least it sounds doable until you hear the rest of the list.
Okay.
Number 2, finish 3 live action films.
Okay.
Suddenly it's a little harder now, yeah.
Honestly, that sounds a little more
That's a little
difficult.
harder.
Yeah.
I mean, we're saying 3 live action films. We're not talking about feature things. We're talking about short films.
Yeah.
Sketches, whatever
Obviously.
it may be.
Like indie
Things-
films.
Things to put on the YouTube channel that has not been promoted on this podcast yet.
Yet. Yeah.
When we
so
start
look forward to that.
When I start putting things up, however, I will in fact be marketing them. I will in fact be like, this podcast is sponsored by No Man's Channel. You know, we will do stuff like that.
You know what? I will sponsor your short films.
Sure.
I'm expecting a full-on ad. 2 minutes.
That is very sweet of you. But yes, finished 3 live action films. I mean, we were close to filming one of them this past week. Unfortunately, it could not happen.
Yes, unfortunately.
I do have another one waiting in the wings. We'll see if we can film that one this coming month. And
hope-
of course,
I hope that voiceover that I sent you is useful, by the way.
no promises, unfortunately, at this
Oh,
point.
that's
Yeah.
unfortunate.
No, that film might be shelved entirely now.
Oh.
It was going to be, for full disclosure, it was going to be a film about Christmas in quarantine due to uncertain events. Unfortunately, however, it could not be finished, and it's probably not going to make sense next year, for example.
Yeah, I see.
I'm assuming that word is not a word that gets demonetized, does it?
No,
It
I
does
don't think
not?
so. No,
Just making sure.
no.
Bleep out the other one though.
Oh, you don't have to tell me twice.
Number 3. Number 3.
Yeah,
Finish your musical project.
like a song.
An EP or album. A full thing. Before you say anything, I actually did have an EP that was mostly finished 2 years ago that I have yet to release. I have not finished it, but like the skeleton is fully built up. I want to finish it up, just sort of really buckle down and finish it up. That could very well be released by March or April, I think.
You should become a SoundCloud rapper.
No. No.
I knew the answer already.
But yeah, musical project, I feel like is a given. Again, I'm saying one musical project.
Yeah.
Not 3 like the other ones. Then I'd be in trouble.
But you do mean like an entire album still.
An album or an EP, yeah. So at least like 5+ tracks, which again, the EP that I've had sort of sitting in my computer for the last 2 years now, that's about 6 or 7 tracks.
Yeah.
We might expand it into a little more. I've talked to the aforementioned Lindsay about possibly collaborating on some stuff. Maybe we can make some more stuff out of it. You know?
Yeah.
That could be really nice.
Yeah, hopefully so.
For people who like synthwave and things inspired by that. You know,
Right.
That is, in fact, where the direction of which it is sort of inspired by a lot.
Okay.
Number 4, finish a full-length screenplay.
Oh,
You're starting to see now where it's starting to be like, okay, now it's not as doable. It's a little more.
Yeah.
Finish a full-length solo screenplay because I'm currently co-writing a script with someone else right now.
Mhm.
I want to finish one that's completely solo.
That's all by yourself.
That is all by myself.
Okay.
The last time I wrote a full-length screenplay for myself, it was almost a year and a half ago. I started in January of 2018, and then I finished it. 2019. Excuse me, 2019. And then I finished it over the course of 6 months. But of course, that's because we were juggling it alongside all of the schoolwork that we were doing. 8 classes. It's a lot.
Yes. That's
So
an
I think
insane
it's-
amount for college.
I think it is possible, totally. A solo screenplay, it's totally possible.
Yeah.
Number 5, get in shape. Everybody's New Year's resolution.
Yes.
That's everyone's New Year's resolution.
I was gonna say.
Be more proactive, definitely.
Yeah, I do have to buy like a pull-up bar and stuff. So
I got
That's
weights
a
at
lot.
home, but I do have a gym membership that I'm using, so I'm being more active on that front personally.
okay, that's good.
Number 6, 24 significant works that could be posted to Instagram or in a reel for a job thing.
24. So
24.
like turntables, basically.
So we're talking about like character models or environments, the things that I post on my Instagram,
Okay.
which we have not plugged on here, and I personally don't know if I want to yet.
Okay. No worries. Whenever you're ready.
Like you've seen my works.
I have.
Yeah. So I want to put 24 of those basically. Now, that is actually decreased from my original thing, which was 52.
Good.
Because the idea was to have a weekly upload every single week, like a weekly prompt. Every single week I'm uploading something.
I mean, that basically means working the entire week. Like that's a little
And that's also
crazy.
getting in the way of finishing UFO or the
Yeah.
other short films and stuff
Yes.
like that. So I bumped it down to more like once every 2 weeks. Just a little more reasonable, I want to think. I do want to experiment with making with actual character sculpting because that's one thing you've noticed on my Instagram personally because you've seen it. Other people haven't. I haven't put a whole lot of characters on there more than I put a lot of environments or objects.
Yeah.
So I want to work more with characters, for example.
Okay.
You know, possibly not a goal listed on here, but it's possibly that maybe I can do commissions. Hopefully, I want to get to a point where I feel comfortable doing commissions by the end of the year.
I mean, you started off actually pretty recently with a commission, which is pretty exciting.
That's right. I do, in fact, actually have a commission with someone else, which, you know, is a nice thing. You know, I'm doing a movie logo for them. That's very nice. I'm just going to back this up a little bit just to make sure we don't run into the happy 2018 thing.
Of course.
I want to make sure we don't run into that.
The background is supposed to be seamless, but let's be frank, it's not. And that's okay.
It is not.
It is what makes Tech Summit, the Tech Summit podcast special.
Did you just say what I think you just said?
What do you think I said?
You just say sex summit?
No, I said Tech Summit.
Different kind of podcast.
Oh, all right. Well, that's gonna be my second channel now.
All right. Number 7, move out by your next birthday.
Okay.
Now I have a year for that because my birthday is pretty late in the year. I also feel like I'm pretty good at I'm pretty close to being able to do that. I feel, you know, I'm 24, trying to get financial independence. I am financially independent, but like,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I mean that's okay.
Of course, it's
I
very
still
difficult.
live with my parents as well.
It is in fact very difficult due to these current circumstances.
Yes.
But at the same time, I'm hoping that I can make myself. I probably can parlay myself into that eventually.
Yeah.
Number 8 helps into this. $10,000 in my savings account.
Okay, that's maybe less attainable considering.
Really? I think 10,000 in my savings is fully possible. I think honestly, I feel like if anything else, that is the most possible one on this list.
Yeah, like if you do push
This and the musical
like the whole
project.
moving out thing aside, then yes, I think so.
If I reach 10,000 by August and then I lose that because I move out, I consider that a success.
I mean, you did
I
technically
consider that
reach your goal.
exactly.
Yeah.
I consider that succeeding.
Yeah, yeah. Fair.
Number 9. This is one I think you can relate to a little bit. Make a habit of practicing drawing for at least 30 minutes a day.
I'm not
Because-
sure if I can necessarily relate to it because I've already been drawing a lot.
That's what I'm saying, though. It's still drawing, though. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, full disclosure to people who are watching this. Again, he is a 2D artist. I am a 3D artist. He is not that great at 3D. Can we fairly say that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I am
Very confidently say that.
awful at 2D. I am very, very awful at 2D. So I want to practice that a little bit more because for a lot of people, they say, having that foundation in 2D drawing can really help when parlaying into 3D. And I skipped.
So they say.
I skipped the 2D part. I went straight into 3D. And of course, I think I'm pretty good at 3D. I want to think I'm pretty good at 3D.
I would agree that you are.
But I would like to practice more in 2D and get a better understanding of things like perspective, anatomy especially,
Got it.
things like that.
Yeah, 2D will definitely help you.
I
with
have
that.
plenty of anatomy books. I need to actually study them. I was studying them when I was making my character for the thesis. For
the thesis.
For the thesis. I got a bit of a lisp there. Hold on. I may need to refresh my throat a little bit. That goes down nice.
Doesn't it now?
Warm feeling. But yes,
this
thesis.
is a new side of Tech Summit.
3D thesis.
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot of anatomy studying when it comes to that, especially facial anatomy, particularly when it comes to cheekbones and stuff like that.
Okay.
Hold on 1 second, guys.
Yeah, hold on just 1 second. You've all been lovely so far. I promise.
We have a bit of a hiccup here.
Yeah, but with that said,
Oh, we're not done yet.
yeah, I think you should just continue. There's going to be a very lovely photo of us.
Okay. Okay, so can you explain to the audience who is currently watching on YouTube at least?
Can I explain?
Yes.
Explain what
Please.
exactly?
What happened?
Oh yeah, my camera overheated and it shut off. So now you're
yes,
looking at an
that's
image.
right. That happened.
Yeah.
It's happened before.
Yes, it's happened before.
What episode was that? Episode 6 or 7?
Only God knows at this point. It's one of those. It was a great episode for sure, though.
All right.
Make sure that you watch all the way to the end.
Please.
Even though we are pretty close to it.
Absolutely. You just see a thumbnail of us looking silly.
Yes, it's the exact same thumbnail that you're going to see, except
Exactly.
that you're going to see it in a much larger scale.
Exactly. You can put it in full screen.
But is there a goal number 10?
There is, in fact, a goal number 10. One last goal.
Okay.
Complete the Spanish Duolingo course,
Haha.
which basically comes down to learn Spanish.
No worries.
Or at least
I will try to help
become conversational in Spanish, because I am, in fact, half Puerto Rican.
you.
And so I should learn my darn language.
Yeah, you
should
did.
learn my darn language.
Hey, didn't do it again.
I avoided that. I should learn my darn language and be in touch with my cultural side. I have not, unfortunately, done so for various reasons. But I'm hoping to fix that. So learn Spanish.
No worries.
I've tried to learn other languages in the past. I've learned a little bit of Dutch, a little bit of German,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of French.
Yeah.
But Spanish feels like the one that I really is probably the most important one.
Mm-hmm.
Really. Even though I am half Dutch as well. I am half Dutch. So
You
Dutch
are.
is important.
Yeah.
But I do feel like Dutch should take a bit of a backseat, if only because most people who speak Dutch in, like, say, for example, the Netherlands also speak English.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like Dutch is not as high of a priority compared to, say, for example, Spanish, where you do have a lot of people who don't speak English alongside Spanish.
Definitely.
But yeah, that's a lot of goals, and I'm sure you can see now that it's not quite as doable, all things considered. It is a little harder now.
It is a lot, but
It is quite a lot, and I'm sure
maybe you can.
now, of course, CGP Grey CGP Grey, popular YouTuber, one of my favorite YouTubers actually, has often mentioned that instead of doing New Year's resolutions, he does year themes. Oh, you're familiar with Grey?
I'm not. No.
Oh, because you're making a face. So
No. I'm just laughing for unrelated reasons.
because CGP Grey often does themes rather than resolutions. Like
Okay.
he'll do like a theme where it's like, oh, this is the year where I get organized, for example. For me, if there was any sort of theme that I would probably do, this is the year where I don't overdo it.
That's a good goal for
Because
you specifically. I would
exactly,
say,
because
yeah.
you could say it, and I'm sure Lindsay, who's listening to this, is probably shouting at her screen. Exactly. I tend to overdo things and burn myself out really badly when it comes to work. Again, you've seen the list of things that I want to accomplish. That's a lot for someone to do, a single person to do.
Yeah.
Because for a lot of these, like for example, the animated shorts, UFO is entirely me. My thesis is one person.
Yeah.
My third short film is entirely me. The collab, okay, that's two people. But even still, that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And then of course you add everything else on top of that. I tend to overdo it. This is probably the year where I learn more healthy work-life balances and how to really schedule myself in a way that doesn't like completely burn myself out to where I don't get anything done.
That's good.
It's entirely possible that a lot of times I don't get things done, not because I'm lazy, like I keep constantly saying to myself, but rather just because I overworked myself, I'm burnt out, and I don't have the energy to actually finish it.
Right. I understand that.
And that, of course, is in fact a massive problem. So yeah, I do have a pretty structured idea as to what I want to do in 2021.
It is good that you have a list for sure.
You do feel a lot more flexible about it, though.
Yeah, I would say so. I would like to not put too many things on my plate because I've already done that enough personally. But still, it is good to aim high, and I'm glad that you actually have a list because it allows you to aim high. Though, even if you might not accomplish everything on that list, you at least have a pretty good list of like guidance to to be able to move forward with your projects. Jesus, I'm very glad that this is New Year's Eve.
I feel like you're swimming just a little bit. I can tell.
Absolutely.
Do you want another top off?
I can't even swim in real life, and you want me to drown, I see.
Do you want another?
I still have some in my cup.
Really?
So
Okay. No problem.
I'll wait until later. But with that said...
Of course. With that said, we are, in fact, going to conclude this New Year's special in the way that everyone else is going to be concluding their year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
With a little bit of drinking,
Yeah, drinking healthy juice, of course.
Of course. If you are, in fact, following the social media... excuse me. Sorry. If you are, in fact, following us on YouTube, social media will be right down here at the bottom.
Yes.
Add it to the thumbnail
I will vouch to that. I will.
Okay. If you are following us here on other platforms, we are going to have that stuff in the respective description, of course. And it goes without saying, 2020 has been very rough for a lot of people, but we do wish you guys a very... very happy new year. Make 2021 the best year that you guys have ever had yet.
Yes, I can very much second that. But with that said, this has been Francisco.
I'm Chris.
And Happy New Year. Enjoy.
Happy New Year. Good night. Travel well throughout 2021.
Please do it for me. Magnifique.
C'est magnifique.